Alright, anything you guys say will be clipped. BBLPG. Alright, let's start with Nike. After Nike, I'm just gonna go over my watch list, see how anything else panned out. But Nike, very, 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 very nice. Um, it was
Does
definitely
anybody play Spotify earnings?
um maybe I'll throw a couple bucks at it. I don't know. We'll see. All right.
It's interesting. I'll check it out right before earnings, though. That's the best bet to do.
Yep.
Wait for that. Take it away, Drew.
All right, Nike. Everything in the market had a gap up. Nike was one of them. So we had a gap up all the way to our cluster wave 7 daily at 73.15, which was our current current resistance on Friday. And you can see we had a gap up above it, meaning that buyers could step in if we establish our daily and our cluster 73.15 into support. You can see it did exactly that. So going into Nike, once we saw this established support, I mean, I entered way over here though, but once I saw establishing support and buyers stepping in, calls were valid. You can see we're now in a new range. This was the old range we were playing in. And then you can see we got a breakout out of it, of this old range, leading us into the new range. So Nike basically has room all the way up to our cluster wave 7 daily. I'm gonna update these levels. I believe we hit our 50% upside, so that's something to be careful
Yeah, I'm about to
about.
pull it up.
That is something to be careful about. So we went all the way from 10%, and being above vector, we got reversion, bringing us back above pivot and into our 50% upside. So we did a good job there. This whole pump did all that. So we did catch the move. Going to tomorrow, I said we would have to hold that 50%. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, we need to get above 75.33. That's your 50% cluster to the upside. I think, go check staff. Actually, yeah, I think I did send that in trading chat. Check out. Yeah, middle one.
So yeah, we were down here, and you see holding us above vector, brought us above pivot, and bringing us to our 50% upside. So for continuation, we need to hold above 75.33 right here. Above that, we'll be targeting 76.73. And after that, we'll be targeting our 20% and so on. But need to get above that 50% in order to see that pan out. So that was Nike. Very beautiful. Everyone should have had a chance to get into these, especially right here. I think right here, my cons ended up going back to like 20%. And you could have caught this move for like 100% plus. So that was Nike. Let's start going over the other plays. See if those ended up panning out. So we had Nike.
What did Chipotle do today?
Not shit.
It's a lager too.
Really, like, I mean, not shit. It's setting up pretty nice. Higher time frame.
AMD pretty much panned out what I was expecting it to do. It almost hit TP1.
Yeah, AMD was nice.
right off the gates, my scenario played out. As you could see, my yellow line did exactly what price action did. So now that we're in a new range, what we should expect is either we keep chopping in the same range, we break below into the old range, which I don't think will happen because we are at our 10% downside. So what I want to see next is this for upside. We either open up above it, turn this into support, target that, and then we start targeting higher levels, such as our salient cluster. But for upside, we need to see a break above 157 in order to see 158.90 and then 162.81. I will update these charts if needed, but I'm just going based off yesterday's charts. That was AMD. That panned it out. Let's check out AVGO. Still stuck in the same range, same bias going into tomorrow. Or I don't want to say bias, but same scenario going into tomorrow. Either we hold this into support, target our vector, and 80% upside, and then this gap fill. I don't really like downside on it. The R to R isn't there, which is why I'm leaning towards call side if the setup is there. I don't really see much, just a bunch of chop. Coin, I did see that shit pop off in the morning. Oh yeah.
Best to just wait for earnings on coin. That setup didn't go though.
You can see how coin didn't establish our 50% upside into support right off the gates. You can see it struggled to hold that support later on in the day. You can see how perfect it did establish support off it right here. So literally textbook trade, break above, come back down to confirm its support, and then you either target equal highs, which was this would have been your TP, since this is a big range and we haven't tested high a day yet. And you can see how that would have respected. It would have been a nice trim, but this is the top of the range. We could see this pan out tomorrow. We could see 270, 275 as long as we hold our daily open and this 50% upside. But things start getting crazy as we start moving up. The ranges start getting bigger and bigger. So that is coin. Still same thesis. BG said not to touch it until earnings are close.
That's when the real move's gonna be made.
So I'm not gonna touch it. Crowd. That shit dumped even more, bringing us down to 200.
Yeah, we started.
Pretty crazy move off the gates. Damn, we really went from 365, 341, all the way to 263. That shit did not play out. I would have to update these levels. You can see
E for effort.
You can see an outlier move was made. This is a good example of why you shouldn't full port 10% plays. Because let's say you full ported 10% right on Friday. You would have woken up crying. I'm on the one. But yeah, crowd outlier move. I would have to have these levels updated.
So it's best to look at those wave one daily.
Yeah. When you see this happen,
When you see outliers like that.
yeah,
You're gonna see that like tickers like Walmart, uh, Pepsi a lot of the time. Stuff like that.
That's crowd for you. I'll have these. I'll have this chart updated for you guys before tomorrow morning. Let's look at Dash. That's actually something I didn't look at.
Dude, your PC is running low on battery.
I know. What should I do? Should I charge it?
No. Yes. Yes.
Dash. Huh. This actually looks interesting. I almost wanted to create support off our level we wanted for upside. Damn, this was actually perfect. This price action clean as hell. I ain't gonna lie. Looking at Dash, we had a gap up. Pretty similar to Nike. We gapped up above our cluster, wave 7 daily. But only we try to claim support off of it. This actually looked really nice. If I was playing this off open, I probably would have taken this. But good thing I didn't. But looking at Dash, for upside, Vector, need to hold it. So this move right here was a bullish retracement back to Vector. Why? Because we already broke above it. This is considered the retest. So for upside to work, we need to hold above Vector in our daily open tomorrow, depending where we open. So that's something I'm looking at. And our floor price. You can use those two levels as confluence. So that's Dash. Don't really see anything else good about this besides being above Vector. Let's look at Dell. I think Dell had a good move off the gates. Chop. Perfect example of why using wave 7 daily levels as TPs. One being this. So this is our daily open right there. This actually might be a good move for tomorrow with this gap fill being pretty close by. I would say I would only play it above this, as this clusters our current resistance, top of our range. You can see this gap up, all it did was just test the top of this range. So tomorrow we need to break this resistance, turn that to support, and we can see this move pan out. 50% first, and then these vectors. So this could be a nice move for tomorrow, as long as we open close to this cluster at 129.76. But I would say 129.76 is my trigger level. We turn that to support for calls. This is I'd say I'd call it a 10% play just because we tested it, but it's looking like a 20% play. I really need, or not really need, but I would like to see this vector test in order to see a trend shift. That's when things start getting, that's when you can start seeing a trend reversal, is when we start testing vector or getting above it. Like Nike, that's how we got our reversion, is because we were above our vector and we held it. That's Dell. Not too bad for tomorrow. Mainly just a little range choppy day for that. So we got Meta. Meta actually looks pretty good. So this is what I see. Meta. We had a gap up, bringing us above our vector and ceiling. You could see Price came down, tested 50% of this gap fill, turning this into support. And the reason why I like this so much is, one, we retested this 50% and turning that support, which is a huge level, with us being in the gap fill and closing above vector and ceiling. So today was just like a day to establish support. So tomorrow need to hold vector. I'll target this first, and then our 50%. Not bad for meta though. I really like this just because we came down and claimed this as support, and we closed above vector and ceiling on the daily. Just barely though. Looks pretty solid. But these daily candles look pretty weird. A bunch of dojis. I don't know how I feel about that though. That's meta. Let's check out Microsoft. I did play Microsoft off the gates. I already see a trade off this. Let me break it down to you guys. So first thing you could have done here, off meta, we had a gap up, of course. Price brought us back down, filling 50% of this gap and testing ceiling. You can see how those two are in confluence. So you could use this as a huge support system, or just before price comes here and you see a wave 7 daily level in the gap fill, just know it's going to be highly respected. As you can see, it did right to the penny. That retest was no joke. So with this trade, let's say you entered off the support of the ceiling, so it'll look something like this. Probably entry above there. Where would you target? Can someone tell me? Have you guys been paying attention? Higher day. Higher day would have been your TP. Off your entry, off 50% of the gap fill. Essentially it would be daily, but it's kind of close. Probably would have even made a percentage. But usually when we're below daily and we're in calls and we're this close to daily, what I like to do is just set my stops at break even, because we could have just done this. This is just a scenario. We came down, could have done this, rejected daily, and filled 100% of the gap. Because we didn't get a retest off this move, but that's just something to look at. That's Microsoft. So tomorrow, I would say above vector, we fly. With us being within this gap fill as well. You can use this gap or these equal highs right here from last Wednesday. You can use that as a trigger for this gap fill entry. But just keep in mind, within this gap fill, we have our vector and 50% downside and 50% of the gap fill, all within the same area. So that's something to look at. It's Microsoft. Now we could talk about good old MU. Ryder called out some swings, a swing play for MU. 2-week expiration for 78 cents. Not a bad contract at all. Very cheap for the amount of time you have for this move to pan out. What I like about MU, what it did today, all it was doing again was just establishing support off our 3% downside. But what I like the most is, this is our daily open. I don't know what, I don't have the indicator on. What I like most about this ticker or this play is we came down and took out all these lows. And you can see we pumped up all the way back to our daily. So tomorrow, my trigger for calls, if you're not already in, is 116.05. This cluster wave 7 daily. And you can see above that, we have a pretty nice range all the way to 120. $5 move, which those contracts will be pretty disgusting if we get that move. And that's not even the whole move. This is just a cluster. Like where 10% is at. Way the fuck up here. Need to look at vector though. I'll have this chart updated with the vector and all, just to see where we should be at, or be targeting. That's MU. I'm looking at this tomorrow. If you guys are already in, not too late to be in it.
So Drew, you're looking at a 2-week swing on that. Is that what I was understanding?
Ryder called those out in team analysis. He mentioned that he is swinging those. August 16th, $132 call. They're at 78 cents, or that's where he purchased them.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, cool.
That's going to be more on the safe side when playing with this Wave 7 daily. I mean, if you've seen plays like Google 135s back good minutes ago, JPMs, Enphase, plays like that take a couple times, like can take a couple days to really pan out, and
right,
you don't want to be cut off of a good entry just off of that expiration date. That's where it's like just focus on whatever time frame you're looking at, right? If you're taking a trade off, wave 10, 15 minute, right, it's probably going to be more on the weeklies or on a 0DT contract. Where, I mean, on Q, you can still play the, daily, intraday positions, but the thing is, you're looking at a daily time frame. So everything, it's more for the bigger picture.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I was.
That's just the safest way.
Best bang for your buck,
I've gotten quite a bit.
Yeah.
And let's say
I seem to understand the daily stuff a little bit, well, far better than I did 2 weeks ago anyway. But the swinging them out, 2 weeks out, whatever, 1 month out, those are the ones that, because it seems like they're always so much more expensive, but then they end up being, a $70 contract turns into whatever it is, $1,000 or whatever, because it took all that time to get up there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, just like I was just talking about, like when we're looking at that daily 7, that's why you see us jumping like monkeys when we get setups like that. It's like those are the best setups. I'd rather have something that you could hold a couple days rather than the dailies are nice, like intraday positions are nice, but I like the stress free of swing.
Yeah, right, and that's kind of where I'm at. I like to make a little bit of money off the dailies, but I prefer to not have to be so worried if it's moving up and down a bit.
Yeah, especially if like for those that are working, you can't stare at the charts during New York session or PM whatever session, right? It's gonna be way less stress on your shoulders just trying to manage those off that.
I think the best part about the Wave 7 daily plays, especially with picking like 2 weeks out and etc., is when the move is already made within 1 week and you still have another week of contract to keep going, right?
Yeah, and they're just sitting there going, ha 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 ha.
And at that point, it's runners. At that point, it's runners. It should be, but you get the idea.
Well, sure, but even for me at this point, I don't have a large enough account to even really have runners. It's just one contract, and it's just sitting there, and it's just,
As long as you have an idea where to stop out.
Thing is, bro, there's opportunities presented daily where it doesn't even really matter. Like, you could find stupidly cheap contract. This is just, they're needle in the haystack. But like today, on that pullback where we established low a day, like contracts went from 4 cents to all the way up to like 45. Like $4 to like like shit like that. You know, there's cheap opportunities like that. Don't think like you just because you're not able to size, just maybe you're not able to size in whatever you're looking at, but there are going to be opportunities. You know, and just about kind of finding those. I reckon that is on the 30-team contract on Q, but still, like my point is, like you see that more frequently than off, than not. Those are where they get crazy.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited for next month, because then I can sit there in the morning and find those intraday moves. Because it seems like also a lot of times, like I'll get it, I'll take my little bit of profit, and then I'll see it go drop down to, like you said, 5 cents or 15 cents, whatever, and then for the rest of the day, next thing you know, that thing's up to 80 cents, or and you're just sitting there going, "Oh, damn! If I had just waited half an hour and then bought it at 15, and watched it run for the rest of the day." But
yeah, I mean, the thing you can get caught like. Like, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, did this, a million different reasons. Just wait for your setup. And the thing is, they come when you're really not expecting it. These, especially like we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, like when we're seeing pullbacks, when we see months of upside, right? These pullbacks are gonna be sharp. They're gonna be quick. And what is every single pullback then? Like last week, we fell off a cliff. Like. Not really, because compared to other moves, but the thing that's kind of just how it's a staircase up, elevator down. If you guys have ever heard that reference before, and especially like when you're playing that downside, these things they move. When they move, they move.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely been an interesting couple of weeks, especially looking at it here with you guys. The difference that I was going, the way I was trading versus how you guys are trading, it's been night and day difference. But now it's just a matter of, do I got the time? Can I peek in on my phone? Can I make a trade or not?
Swing trade.
Data is king.
Taking it nice and slow.
Yeah. Honestly, if you don't have time looking at things. Start during the day, bro. I'm telling you, like, prioritize swing trading, back test strategy, and take your time with training wheels. It's like there's no point to even position it. Say you wanted to position yourself intraday, and there's having to manage a trade and being at work. Probably, I mean that shit would suck. I did it when I first started trading. That shit's terrible. I don't know. Well, there's no point to even do that to yourself.
Hey, Weston, stop! I need the phone.
Thank you guys for all the help. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow.